Welcome back, everyone. Nico here, and today we'll be going through my September manga haul video. So I know the last video I had said that I was probably gonna look at like slowing down with the manga that I was getting. That clearly didn't happen this time around. More so with newer series I've been getting, but I did have quite a bit of like upkeep ones and series that I've been looking to complete. Kind of like you just go to the store looking for one that's already out that you're collecting, and then you end up seeing ones that you're missing, so you just by chance pick those. The store trip turns into picking up one book to opposed to picking up like 4 or 5 kind of thing. So with that, I do have a lot more of upkeep and things I've been looking at finishing. Not a whole lot of new series this time around. It seems like that's gonna be more for next month, as I'm coming to realize now that the month of October has already started. So with that, we're just gonna go ahead and jump in and get started. So starting this off, just one volume of Inside Madi that I happened to find when I went to the Barnes and Nobles. Now I have this, just makes volume number 4. This is one I'm still trying to find the other ones that I'm missing. So once I get the rest of those, then I'm gonna start reading it. Of course, I think volume 9 is up for pre-order, so I need to pre-order that one, and that's gonna wrap up this series. So with that, again, I'm just gonna wait until I get all of them, and then I'll dive into it and see. Hopefully, I feel I'm gonna like it. I've liked everything by this creator so far, so I'm really looking forward to when that time comes and I can finally knock out this series. Then one series I was really happy and excited to actually finally catch up on, and now I can finally start reading it, is going to be Happiness. So I end up finding volume 6 and volume 3 here. I'm not going to show the cover because it's kind of got some like splatter of particular fluid on there, so I'm not going to show that. This one I am really excited for. The first volume I did go through and read, and it had me pretty interested. So now that I finally caught up with everything, this is something I'll be setting aside to finally read. And next volume of that series comes out, if it's not finished, I'll have to check. I can't remember at this moment. Then I can actually give some more thoughts once I get that last volume in. Then, of course, one series that you really can't go wrong with, Tokyo Revengers. Obviously, the 2-in-1, so this collects volumes 3 and 4. Again, I got about halfway through the anime, so once I get probably about like 2 or 3 more of these, then I'm going to start reading it, and then I actually need to go back and finish that anime. So give it a couple more months and I'll finally start reading into this one. Next up, we got volume 2 of Crazy Food Truck. Now, the first one, like I said, it seemed just kind of more like that kind of fun kind of manga. Like it had a story, but it's not like it didn't seem like too crazy in depth. After reading this one, it's starting to build the plot. Obviously it starts going into like more of like who this girl is and who the man is that she's following. As always, the food that's in here looks delicious. It looks amazing. Once you find out more about kind of like his story and like the other group of people that are now in here, it seems to be putting more on offense of like the importance of like what food can do as far as like creating bonds or creating those like subtle little moments. So in that aspect, I've been appreciating it. But aside from that, it's been okay for me. I am going to finish it, but it is a very like nice, enjoyable read so far. And I can't lie if I'm saying that I'm not interested to see where it goes, because some of the other characters they brought in were very interesting. And I want to see what they're going to do with like the backstory for what this character is. So only time will tell. Following it up, then we have volume 5 of Solo Leveling. This is one I still trying to catch up from all the other series that I didn't read. So I have this set aside so I can finally go into it, hopefully, because looking in the back now, I'm starting to see all these like these shadows or things. I remember seeing a statue for the main character for this, and it had a bunch of these creatures and beings around him. I had no idea what they were, so it seems like hopefully those things are going to start coming into the story now. So I'm really interested to see exactly what importance or role those things play. One series I'm always really excited when it comes in is going to be Phantom Tales of the Night. So this is number 9, and these covers just seem to get like prettier and prettier every time they come out. So I was really excited to get this in. However, it's been a while since I read these, so I actually need to sit and go through and reread all of the series again. However, my volume 1 has apparently just like sprouted legs and run off. Like I can't find it anywhere, like on my shelves, my house. So I do need to go find another copy of volume 1. So once I do that, then I can go back to this. I mean, I could just jump off 2 was, but I'd like to just sit and reread all of it together. It just makes the story like feel more compact instead of like skipping and trying to pull things from memory. But I did see recently that this is ending pretty soon, so it's unfortunate. But from what it was telling, it seems like it's that one it's telling the story it needs to, so it's not overstaying too much. So while that is sad, I will be happy to finally see this series fully collected on my shelf once we get it fully translated and sent over to us. And then a series that I was really anticipating to finally start reading through, that now I'm probably just gonna stop reading for the time being, is Blue Lock. Of course, this is volume 2. Just at the time of recording this, I actually just watched the first episode today for the series, and good God, they did a phenomenal job. The animation's on point, the way they did the faces. I even went back and looked at volume 1 after watching the first episode, and some of the ways they adjusted and changed the flow for some of the more like actioned scenes, like beautiful, like flowed so nice. Like it really got the impact of them in, and the music does a really good job at like building that feeling up. Like I found myself being tense and like excited the entire time, even when there's like baseline talking. So for as hyped as I got watching it, I kind of want to watch it without knowing everything's going to happen. So I'm still kind of debating. So I haven't read this one. Like I've only read volume 1, but I don't know yet because I was still excited regardless of having read the first volume. So I'm probably giving myself a couple days to think on it. But regardless, if I don't read these, I'll still be buying them. And if you haven't checked the anime out, go watch it. Please do. Phenomenal job. And if you love that, like, then go support the creator, man, because then it just shows that if the anime doesn't adapt all the series, we'll get that next season. And following that up, another series that I'm kind of behind on, I need to catch up with, is Blue Period. So I have volumes 8 and 9. This is one I should have had this sooner, but some of my shipments were kind of behind with Right Stuff. So I have them in, and the last one I read was about volume 5. Yeah, volume 5 was the last one I read, and I did like the direction it was going. I unfortunately just stopped reading the new ones that were coming because I was trying to catch up on other stuff. So now that I have these more again, I have a massive pile I need to sit and catch up on. But I'm excited to see what's going to happen with the current dilemma that the character was left off with. So hopefully once volume 10 comes out, I will be caught up with that, so I can give a little bit more in-depth explanation on what my feelings are as of the current story. This next one I am caught up on, and that's Beastars, and this is volume 20. Good Lord, I'm loving where this is going. I like the dilemmas that these characters are being put into and how they're starting to have to work through them, especially Legoshi. I don't want to say too much on this, but if you like the anime, I think I probably said this before, but if you like the anime, go get the books. The anime does a really fantastic job of getting the emotions conveyed through the characters, but some of the paneling and the way the drawing is done just shows that emotion a whole lot more, or like the gravity of the situations they're in. It really changes that atmosphere, and especially with it kind of hitting the climax right now of the story. If you haven't jumped into it, I would say it's definitely the time now. Then one series I know I'm very behind on because I've only read volume 1, but now there's 6 volumes, so I really don't have an excuse why I haven't started reading these aside from time, obviously. But I said before, the first time I read this, I know it's a series I was gonna love, so I just need to again set the time aside to go through it, and then when volume 7 comes out, I know I said this with a few others, I can actually give some more in-depth thoughts on this. But just from certain clips and scenes I've seen of like the anime, I don't see myself not liking this. So again, once 7 comes out, I'll be caught up so I can actually give a more thorough explanation as to what I'm liking about the series. One series I thought was kind of dead, I would not see again, is the Kurosaki Corpse Delivery Service. I mentioned, I think before, I found volume 4 somewhere, and I was super excited because I didn't think I'd see him anywhere. I was like, oh dang, and I get 2 and 3. And then they published 5, so I really need to go find 2 and 3. Because I don't remember a lot of what happened in the first book. I just know I loved it a lot. So now that they got number 5, and my understanding, I think there's still more. So I'll be spending this couple months trying to hunt down 2 and 3. One series I finally got the rest up to date now on was one that I had stopped pre-ordering because it kept getting pushed back, and then before I realized it, there was already 2 volumes out that I didn't have. So I finally got them, and that is Blackguard volumes 3 and 4. I remember when I read the first volume, I said I wasn't really sure how I was gonna feel about it. I did love Devil's Line, and for me, the real strength of that series was like the character interactions, like how they played off each other, like their bonds and stuff. I definitely feel like that's the case with this. From my understanding, there's only 5 volumes, and it's seen in these books. 1, 2, and 3, while they felt a little quick in the relationships, like I still felt connected to the characters. But then reading this one, I felt like there was a lot of information, just like go, 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 go. And obviously because it has to like wrap up the story, it kind of sucks because they introduced some really interesting concepts between the people and these like shoujo beasts that they're fighting, introduced some different types, possibilities of why they're developing the way they are. And it brings in this connection of love. And I didn't see the route that the relationship between these 2 characters was gonna go, and I found myself like crying a little bit and feeling like, damn, like, oh, I didn't realize I was that attached to those characters. Which again, for me, I think that's the credit to how well the writer makes the bond between those characters so important. But because like their growth is still like tied to the development of the world around them, and the world itself has to rush its plot to get to its conclusion, at times their story feels rushed as well. Because there's one character who, yeah, he's connected to the story, but he's kind of more on the like the sideline, and his development I loved it a lot, and it didn't feel like it was as rushed or as forced as at times like these 2 felt. So if you want a short story and you're not really worried about the pacing, I feel it's something worth going into. I mean, or even regardless, I still think it's a series that's worth looking into. It's just unfortunate that it is so fast in what it's doing. But I've enjoyed it aside from that. It's something I would still recommend. And I just have to wait till that 5th one comes out to see just how well it ties everything up. But as of right now, I'm mainly just focused on how their 2 stories are going to wrap up instead of like the overarching plot. After that, I have Volume 3 of Sensei's Pious Lie. I'm not going to say too much on this because I need to go read number 2 a little bit more so we can get into this, because from what I remember in the last half of Volume 2, or the beginning half of Volume 2, a whole lot more developments are coming up, and I think this only has like 1 or 2 volumes left. So because of that, I might just wait till the house comes out before I start reading this. But as always, with this series at least, my recommendation still stands. Like, it's worth checking out if you can manage and be okay with the themes that it's dealing with. Because at least from that first volume and what I read of 2, I still do like how it's tackling them. So once Volume 4 comes out, then I'll have my full thoughts on it. Ooh, and then one of my favorite series that I'm always looking forward to, as I tell you guys always, Blood on the Tracks. I got number 11 in, and I went to go put it on my shelf, and then I realized I didn't have number 10, and I had no idea when number 10 came out. So I had to, that day, I went and bought number 10 so I can dig into 11, and good God, did this. I mean, it's already been kind of dark, it's already been kind of intense with what it's dealing with, and it went full throttle with the main character. As I've said, like in the older volumes, like it could be hard for someone to read. I feel this is definitely harder to sit and go through without saying too much. If anyone's seen like that Disney movie Inside Out, where it's like all, you know, she's has her emotions, and then because they're not operating the way they need to, or they're trying to get back to her like control center, and like all her like parts of her personality start falling, like how the kid just starts like regressing. Think of something like that, but like amped up to like a really deep psychological like trauma route, and it's kind of what you get here. Aside, I'm not going to say anything else on that because if reading, I don't want to spoil it. And if anything, maybe that intrigues you. If you haven't checked it out, like that, it will intrigue you more to go look at it, because it was very interesting to see how it was doing the psyche for the character. But like I said, I'm not going to say too much because I'm probably going to say something I don't want to and spoil it. So I'm going to stop right there and move on to the next book. And that next book being Shaman King. Can't go wrong with it. Again, one of my favorite shonens. Finally getting up to the very tail end of the series. So this one, again, I haven't dug into it. I really want to wait till I get all of them, because this is going to be like a weekend thing. Be those like treat yourself days, order some food in, maybe get a good drink or something, and then sit and then just spend an entire day reading this series. And then after that, I'm thinking this might be like one of the first videos I kind of do just like a whole like review on. But I haven't decided that yet, so I guess we'll see how I think about that in the future. Then another book that I didn't realize came out and I didn't get, Love of Kill, Volume 9. I don't know how it completely slipped my mind. I haven't gotten into the previous volume, which is where like the anime had left off, which I did enjoy. I liked the anime a decent amount. I think they did a pretty good job. So I do know that obviously the last one and this one are after everything happens in there. This is unfortunately just another one that I haven't put the time aside to read. So again, once I catch up this, I'll have some more thoughts to say once volume 10 hits. But luckily one that I did catch up to is Mao. I don't know why I like this. I like this one a lot. This book, it does move pretty quickly, or at least I felt this one moved a lot faster than the other ones have. And it just, for me, again, it still just has that Inuyasha vibe. Like, it keeps me intriguing the characters. I want to know what's happening with them, the conflicts between them. But I do feel it does a good job at just like kind of like introducing like little pieces like here and there to like slowly build the story instead of like giving everything up once. And I feel like this one had some pretty like good like little twists in it. So as far as right now, like I'm loving it and I'm liking the direction it's going. And another one I kind of feel the same on with is The Elusive Samurai. Some of the way the people are drawn in here, the crazy eyes and really detailed, are just kind of terrifying. But I'm digging it. It really drives in the point that they are the villains or they are the bad guys. And I like how it really plays up the main character's like elusiveness or quickness to things. At least with the main character, it's more of like, I think like more of that typical shonen like personality. Like, I don't want to conflict. I'm like, I want to be good, but I don't want to step on others' dreams. Kind of his naivety to others people is what like makes them like drawn to him, because they're like, oh, he's not the terrible mistrusting person I know all people to be, and brings them in. But at least some of the conflicts when he's having issues with the villains, there are some pretty cool creative ways that they get around them. So I'm loving it. I'm digging it. I'm liking the characters' personalities in it. So I'm really excited to continue this and exactly see what it's going to start building to. Next, one of the series that, of course, I've been adoring so far, Spy Family. I stopped reading it because I've been reacting to the anime, so I do not know what happens in here. But the anime did just start, so that's always nice, because now I can catch up to where I was at the manga and then start seeing all the stuff that I hadn't read in the manga so far. Another one I'm debating, I don't know if I'm going to keep reading it after the anime ends, or if I just want to wait until the rest of it gets animated, because, I mean, if you haven't seen it, like, why would it not get another season? Because it's so great. But, again, I'm not sure, so we'll have to see what happens. Then one series I didn't expect myself to love as much as I did, and I think I said this is the one I brought up the first volume, is Ghost Reaper Girl, Volume 2. I did see that it's currently on hiatus at the moment, I believe, which is unfortunate, because, good God, I fell in love with this. I've only read about halfway through this, but more transformations, more magical transformations, and they're different depending on who she's fusing with, like, bruh. And I like that, how it just keeps her, she just seems so human in her actions. Like, I find herself saying and doing things, so I'm like, oh yeah, like that's something I would say or something I would do. So it just makes it a little more relatable in my eyes. So hopefully it's not on a hiatus for too long. Hopefully the creator starts feeling great soon, because I would love to see more of this, because it has been one of the reads that I've found myself enjoying quite a bit. Ooh, this one I enjoyed quite a bit, but I have fallen severely behind on, because I think the last one I read was Volume 3, and that's Yakuza Lover. This one, I know what I'm getting in it, so I'm gonna get it till it's all the way done, but I do need to set time aside to actually catch up and get to where it's at. The girlfriend actually spread through this and gave a pretty shocked reaction. I was like, ooh, what is it? She's like, nope, you gotta read it. So I was like, damn. I'm like, all right. So I do need to set time aside to read this, and hopefully have some more thoughts for you when the 7th volume comes out. Following that, I have volume 32 of Magi that I just got lucky to find when I went to Kinokuniya one of these days. I can't finish reading it yet though. There's still quite a few I need to catch up on. So once, as always, I get all of them, then I can sit and read them, or at least the ones I needed to where the anime ended, I can read after that. But I might just revisit the whole thing because I love this series so much more than I thought I would. So fingers crossed to finding the rest of the ones I need, hopefully sometime soon. Well, one series that I really love that I don't have to worry about tracking down anymore is going to be Kaguya-sama. Obviously, because if you watch one of my last videos, I ended up buying an entire series during Right Stuff's birthday sale. I don't regret that choice, but my wallet didn't really appreciate it. But at least now I can be caught up to it, because good God, the anime was beautiful. And unfortunately, this is one I'm kind of waiting. I know the movie was announced, so we have to wait on that. So I don't want to read up to it. I think I'm just going to wait till the anime completely finishes and then go through and read this. Because I did read at least the ones that were covered in the anime, and I loved it. It's hilarious. It's great. Phenomenal job. So hopefully I don't have to wait too long for any more anime adaptation. I have to wait a super long time to read it. But if anything, it gives me something really good to look forward to once the anime finishes. And keeping with that comedic side, we have Sakamoto Days Volume 3. I haven't read this one. I've only read Volume 1 and 2 so far. And I've been loving it. I've loved it since I started. It just feels that almost like pure comedic niche for me. Because I really like comedies a lot. Even like in movies, that's what I watch a lot of the time. And I feel there's a lot of that lacking when it comes to manga, or at least the comedy that I seem to enjoy. So this one's been a riot since it started, and who doesn't love that, super killer assassin who's now just trying to be the home man, but keeps getting tied up in crazy situations and has to use these crazy skills without being discovered, and everyone else just has to be like, huh, kind of thing to it. It's beautiful and it's great. So I would say if you like those kind of series, you like that comedy aspect, like definitely catch on to it now, so you're not like me having to buy 20 plus volumes of Kaguya all at once and making my wallet cry. This next one, unfortunately, I cannot read, and I won't be reading it anytime soon. It's Black Clover Volume 30, because I am reacting to it, so I have to wait before I read it, unfortunately. Because, blind reactions are always better than kind of knowing what's going on. So this is one I'm just keeping up to date with, and then once I catch up to the manga and that movie, which is, I think, in March, that's going to be on Netflix, I can watch those, and then I'll hopefully be able to read up to maybe where the manga's cut up. If not, then I'm just going to have to cry, and it's going to turn into a Kaguya-sama where I just need to wait till the anime's completely done before I read it. But I've been loving the anime quite a lot, so it's not too painful. But the sooner I can dig into the manga, the better. Following that, then we have Volume 9 of Moriarty. So again, I said nothing too crazy. It's just them doing their crime stuff, and I love it. As I said it before, it just sucks the anime ended when it did, because there are a lot more stories that are going on. But, if you watch the other videos, we're not going to hash over it too much more. Like, awesome crime syndicates, Moriarty and his crew doing cool crime stuff with all the, high big brain kind of thinking. Don't sleep on it. It's pretty worth the read. This book I've been waiting for quite a while, and that is Radiant Volume 15. I need to go reread some of the more recent ones that came out, because I'm seeing this hopefully just turn into like a D-Gray Man thing, where it's like really big long gaps between volume releases, because then I gotta go reread everything, because I kind of tend to forget. But I did just binge the season 1 and season 2 of the anime, and I liked how they handled it. I got kind of emotional in quite a few areas, so I probably will just go through and revisit the entirety of the series again. But I really love this one. After watching, I remember liking it a lot when I read it, and then after watching the anime, I'd rather sit and think, like, why isn't this talked about more? It really deals with some good questions on like discrimination and like biased judgments and like rigid thinking and like perspectives, like especially with the main character was Seth during one of the events after, I guess, the anime after the first season But in the books, like after like one of the really big major first story arc, I don't know. This is probably one I will look at doing a video on because I really enjoy this for a shonen. I mean, yeah, it doesn't have like typical like boobo waifus and stuff, which I think that might contribute to why it's not as popular, or even the fact that some of the issues it talks about are things that people don't really like to look at or want to like be shown that like those things happen. I don't really know, but I think it did a really good job tackling it, at least when I was seeing it in the anime again. So I need to go reread it because I want to see how well it's tackled there as well. But it's magic. It's got cool characters. I don't know what's going on with this man here. I'm not going to say who this man is because I don't want to spoil it in case you do want to go into it. For a shonen that actually doesn't go too far into like the crazy like fan service tropes and actually kind of just stays and like tackles like the issue that it's trying to put in the forefront, it's worth going and investing in. So I would say like I feel it's definitely one that's underrated and it's kind of slept on. But you know, again, as always, it's just my opinion. But anyone who enjoys a shonen, like I feel like this is something that you would enjoy. But a shonen that I feel like everyone's just gonna fall in love with, Mashal. Obviously, anime's gonna be coming out sometime next year. The last video, and yeah, this volume was just more of what I have come to love and enjoy with this series. So I'm not gonna say too much on it. It's if you're reading it, then you know just the greatness that is there. Oh yeah, the power scaling just like went through the roof in here. But I'm interested to see how Mash is gonna handle this. It was cool to see how he handled flying enemies this time, or at least enemies that could float in the air. Pretty ridiculous. I can't wait to see that animated. Again, if you like that comedy series more akin to like that One Punch Man kind of thing, definitely jump into it. And if you're reading it, then you already know the greatness that's there and the greatness that is to come when that anime finally airs. So I know that was quite a bit, but that takes care of all the series that I was upkeeping on, or the ones that I was just trying to catch up on. And then now I'm going to move over to the books that are new this time around. And I said, like, there's not a lot of them. However, I am going to start with the two that I have not had time to sit and read. The first one of that being Momo the Blood Taker. It seems to be some vampire thing. I'm not really sure. I had it on my list to pre-order, and for some reason I took it off and I didn't get it. And went to go in the store with the girlfriend. The girlfriend skimmed through it and she was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." So she picked it up. And I haven't sat through and read it, but skimming through, the art style is definitely up my alley. So I know volume 2 comes out, I think, within the next coming months. So by that time, I'll have read this. Let me knock on wood. Hopefully I have read this, and then I'll be able to give some really more concise thoughts on like what my feelings are toward it. And this one, unfortunately, you probably won't hear my thoughts on it because it is just a single volume, and that is Look Back. And this is one of the short stories by the Chainsaw Man creator. So yeah, again, it's only one. I haven't read it yet. I have a feeling that I'm gonna like it just based off of the synopsis and some other like content creators that I've watched when they talk about it. And for as much as I loved Chainsaw Man and how his writing was, it's going to be cool to see how his story is in like a more grounded, like concise setting instead of like an overarching story. So I'm really looking forward to just having that time to sit and read this and see how it is. Now, out of the new books that I got that I have somewhat read or I've already seen stuff for them, I'm going to start with the two spicy ones that I've gotten this time around, and that's going to be the first one, Game Between the Suits. I love the dynamic between these two characters, like the playing, the little manipulation tactics they got, trying to fight against the feelings, don't think they're kind of thing. I like it. I like the sauciness. I like the personalities. I'm really intrigued to see where their story is going to go and how it's going to wrap up. It's the whole, like, are they going to get together? Will they not get together? Like, how will they grow? It brings up some of the insecurities that not just one, but both have. So I'm really intrigued. I think it's only like 5 or 6 volumes, so it's not going to be too long. And it won't take up too much shelf space if anyone else is really interested in it. But I feel like this was a pretty solid and strong first volume. So if you like those kind of stories, this is definitely one that's worth looking into. And then the next and last one in at least the spicy category is going to be Ladies on Top. So this one, the synopsis really had me interested. It's more of her being the dominant one and he being the submissive one. To be honest, I wasn't really sure how that was going to go, because I guess these stories, like, it could have been more, I guess, just going like the fan service-y route, but it didn't do that, and I loved it. It's not like that's how she is, like, right off the bat. It's more of them getting together, and they're both just trying to give each other acceptance and, like, learn and explore, like, what they like and what they love, and it's really cute. I feel it's handled very well. It's not some, like, it's not lewd to the sake of being lewd. Like, it's not trying to do something that's crazy over the top. Like, it generally seems to be trying to explore, like, the characters and how they're growing and accepting of, like, these things that they like, and how they can be comfortable in expressing and asking those, like, of their partner, and kind of growing as themselves. So if you like these kind of stories, like, actually, no, even if you don't like these kind of stories, I think it's worth going into, because the characters, I feel, are very strong, and that the relationship between them looks to be something that could be, like, really beautiful, like, as the series progresses. This is definitely, I feel, a very well handled romance, and if you like romances, like, I see no need why to skip out on this. And another romance you shouldn't be skipping on is going to be generic romance. I may have said that wrong. I kind of thought this was going to be a little more grounded. Apparently there's, like, some other maybe supernatural or high-tech things going on. I'm not going to say much, because I was genuinely really enjoying and loving the character interactions between her and the other, I guess the opposite star in here. But I didn't expect what happened at the end. And I could just say, like, I'm still genuine, like, I still genuinely love this, and I'm very intrigued to see where it goes. But it was literally just like a page flip, and my heart, like, sunk a lot, and I'm really scared, like, for the character, not for, like, anything the series, like, this book's gonna go. Like, I felt the story is really well handled. The art was amazing. Like, I love the pacing, I love the paneling, the subtle, cute, wholesome moments that are in here, or even the serious ones, I felt were really well done. But yeah, the page flip that's at the very end of this, people who have read it, and I don't know if you felt the same way I did, but it hurt, and I really want to know more. So this is probably going to be another one that as soon as I get it, I will be immediately reading that second volume, because it left me on such a cliffhanger. Like, again, I guess kind of like Game and then, like, Ladies on Top, very strong first volume, at least for me, and it's left me wanting more. So I just gotta wait for that volume 2, but man, I really can't wait for it. And another series I didn't think I was gonna not want to wait for, and that's gonna be The Geek Hitman. Another one I thought could have gone just a more generic route, and it didn't, at least not for me. The humor is, like, on point. It's exactly the kind I like those small little misunderstandings of him going from a hitman to an otaku. Like, even his nickname is really funny, and how it means one thing in his, like, profession, and then it somehow translates directly into how he is, like, as being an otaku, and, like, his friends say it but don't understand, like, what it really means for him. Small little things like that were just hilarious, and it's cool to see how he is when he's in that pure serious mode, but as soon as, like, the otaku part of him comes out, or that the fangirl, the fanboy, that instant shift in personality, and it's like, wow, like, I need more of this. And it did introduce 2 other characters. I thought it would stick more on him, but it didn't. So I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with those 2. And it didn't really end on the cliffhanger, but not like a crazy one, but at least in terms of the story and the relationships, the bonds that he's going to have with these new characters that are opened up. I'm really excited to see what happens with it. And I feel this is going to be one of those reads where as soon as I get it, I'm going to want to read. I'm not going to want to wait or put it aside. But definitely, if you haven't looked into this, definitely check it out. Like, it's worth the characters that are in there, the comedy, and I feel anyone who has, like, that, like, waifu or husbandu that you attach to, like, you'll find someone in here that you relate to, and that's, for me, that's one of the biggest selling points you can have for a series. So definitely don't sleep on it. It's fully worth it. And then to wrap it up for this video, I have one series that I went and bought all 3 volumes for, because no, I have not read it, but I have watched the anime and it's phenomenal. And that is the Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting. If you have not watched this, it's so wholesome. It's hilarious. The characters are such a riot. It's got some really sweet, wholesome moments that I didn't think were going to really hit me as much as they did. It's something I didn't know what to expect out of the series, and I fell in love with it. It does a really good job at hitting seriousness when it needs to, hitting that wholesomeness, and then just seeing how, especially this character, how he grows and starts shifting and changing, all because of the relationship that he has babysitting his boss's daughter. So if you like those kind of wholesome, very cutesy growth stories, seeing the hardened guy who just wants to beat up everybody and laughs and is all cynical, slowly start having that heart like warmed up, and you start seeing more of his childish warm side coming in. This is definitely something worth reading. And I won't say too much, but there's a whole thing where like they create a YouTube channel to get funds. That's a riot, and animates just one episode. But in here, it was pretty great too. So this is definitely one. If you haven't looked into it, check it out. I think Volume 4 comes out in January or February. I think it was somewhat of an older series, so I got lucky finding 2 and 3 at a store, and I bought 1 offline, off of Right Stuff when I was in. But I do know, like, when it first came out, I was kind of looking around. It seemed a little difficult to get my hands on. So if you liked it, go pick it up as quickly as you can, because it's phenomenal. And if you haven't checked it out, definitely look for Volume 1 and read into it. Like, I really don't think you'd be disappointed in it. And it'd be an awesome addition to, I think, anyone's collection to have who likes these kind of stories. And with that, that is the entirety of my haul for the month of September. Again, like I said, I thought I was going to have like not as much this time come around, but that didn't work out, which seems to be the case. And I guess anytime I make that comment, it's like, it's just stop making that comment. But anyway, as always, I appreciate you guys who sit and watch through all the videos and listening to me just give my small little thoughts on here. As I said, maybe once my hauls start coming lower, then I'll look at doing more like reviews or stuff, or maybe even just talking about what my favorite series are that I have within my collection. Because yeah, I have this shelf and then I have one over here, but I do have some others that I don't show that are in these videos. So who knows? I guess time will tell, and I'll have to see. But again, as always, thank you for watching. I really appreciate the time. And as always, like the stuff that you're collecting, like let me know if you think there's a series you see that I'm showing and I haven't mentioned one that you think I might like and enjoy. Like put it down below. I'd love to know, because I like finding and increasing the variety that I have within my collection. I just feel like not just as a reader does it help me grow, but it also helps me grow like in my perceptions and my perspectives of different stories and just like how I take things in. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one, hopefully.